generative AI, it's either the scourge or the saviour for IT channel marketers, is depending on which article you're reading. With that, how do channel marketers make sure that they're on the correct side of that equation? Today, to answer that question, I'm delighted to be joined by two experts from Revere, which is a marketing agency. Not only have they rolled out generative AI internally, they're also giving lots of advice to their clients, IT solution providers and vendors, on how to best roll out Gen AI effectively in their businesses. So, I mean, we're not just going to be shooting the breeze. I'm here for genuine answers today. So hopefully anyone tuning in after the 10 minutes will have some top tips on how they can actually implement Gen AI properly in their businesses. So delighted to be joined by Chris and Zoe from Revere. Welcome, Chris and Zoe.
Morning, Doug.
Morning, thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. So we'll get straight onto the first question. So just from a high level, I actually saw Sam Altman come out with a quote, the OpenAI founder, just last week, where he said that he was quoted as saying that AI will replace 95% of creative marketing work. So there is a kind of turkeys voting for Christmas scenario here, potentially. So, you know, what's your advice to IT solution providers in particular, weighing up whether or not to really embrace Gen AI within their businesses and within marketing?
So I think I think that 95% stat that you just quoted is well, quite scary, first of all. But we have to acknowledge it and understand exactly the context, I think, that might have gone into that particular statistic. You know, you are always going to need humans and human value. I think, you know, for channel marketers generally, there has to be an acceptance, as there's been all the way through technology evolution over the years, that roles will slightly evolve and slightly change. The skill sets will need to be embracing of change, quite frankly. And those marketeers that are fully adopting the right AI tools and solutions in their work, I think will be the ones that will take a step ahead. Those are the individuals that really succeed and that will generate growth and performance in their marketing activities. And so I think that is the future direction of Gen AI in marketing. From I guess, an advice perspective, which goes to your question, sorry, Doug, but from an advice perspective, I think, first of all, analyze your marketing objectives. First of all, what are you looking to achieve? Where are the challenges? And analyzing whether or not technology can help, full stop. And I use technology and AI interchangeably in a lot of this, because I think a lot of technologies that have been existing have now extended with AI, you know, Gen AI on top of the original kind of solutions that are out there. And I think, you know, that pace of change is accelerating even further. So understanding the challenges, analyzing what tech is out there and how it can help you, I think, first of all. Then understand inefficiencies. AI is going to generate efficiencies in content production, in marketing activities generally, in giving you a step ahead in terms of predictive analytics to understand, you know, from a vendor point of view, what are your customers interested in? How are you going to segment those audiences before the campaigns have even got going? You know, all of that predictive piece is really insightful from a channel marketing point of view. For us internally, we've also been really transparent with our clients around how we use AI. So that's both the benefits, obviously, and also the controls around how we're applying AI in the you know, in the creative industry from an output perspective, and being upfront and transparent with customers, I think, is really important. Do your research is the next stage. So when you're ready, you've analysed your challenges, you think technology can play a part, make sure you're doing your research to understand the credibility of the solutions that are out there. A glossy website, don't forget, is not proof that a solution is credible. So make sure you're doing your research, as we have done internally for our Gen AI journey so far. And then look at your own workforce in regards to skill sets. You know, if we look at the Revere you know, employees, and we have 60+ people in the agency, there are, as with a lot of technology, advocates for these things. They are, you know, the peer-to-peer kind of advocates across the agency is really powerful for us in terms of that journey and that adoption. So make sure that you analyze the skill sets that you have, and make sure you're educating and bringing people on that journey for you, in your AI journey, should I say. So those are kind of some of the things that I think from a IT channel and vendor perspective be really important in terms of the Gen AI journey for them.
And then I think just one final point to add is making sure that that process is ongoing in terms of that review cycle. So don't just implement, but actually kind of assess and review whether it's working for you and your marketing objectives and activities. I think that's really critical.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, definitely. And can you just confirm that you're not, in fact, generative AI generated avatars? I mean, that was so word perfect. I mean,
well, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't respond to that at this moment in time.
well, no, that's good advice. And you know, the second point is that you've obviously rolled out Gen AI, or at least started to, in your own business. So, what have been your learnings? What are the do's and don'ts that you've managed to harvest from that?
Okay, so I think, one of the learnings straight away, we use things like Bing Chat Enterprise, for example. We're securing the data, but we're also giving, our employees a safe space, if you want to call it that, to explore AI and how it can enhance their day-to-day workloads and indeed some of the client research activity that we might want them to perform. So I think we set out very early on to make sure that the parameters of AI rollout within the agency were really clear. We communicated that to the employees and we tried to bring them on the journey with us. Okay, so I think that's a really important do's in regards to excite and embrace the kind of challenge and change rather from Gen AI, and make sure employees feel empowered. So we consider internally that AI will undoubtedly improve the quality of our output and our delivery for clients. The clients are going to get more value from their marketing activity as a result. And as I say, internally, it's selling that opportunity really for our employees. So that's definitely a do. And in terms of don'ts, I guess very much make sure that you don't let staff choose tools that they decide are the right thing to do. There's a lot of press out there, right? And we all see it across multiple social channels, in trade press. They're always going to be advocates for certain technologies, but make sure that your staff don't select tools that they want to use or indeed share customer data, which should obviously not be advisable with certain tools in the public domain. It can happen easily. It hasn't happened to us because of the process we've put in place. But I guess the key don't for me is that kind of shadow IT mentality that can creep in if it's not controlled, particularly with some of the the vendors that we all work with on a day-to-day basis. I don't know, is there anything you can add?
I think you're all good.
Good.
Yeah, no, that's good advice, and particularly since a lot of MSPs, particularly if they're a bit smaller, they may not have a marketing department. It may just be one person doing the marketing. It may be no one doing the marketing. So it's really, really good advice for people that maybe don't have time to spend to look at all the tools and look at. So I mean, another question on that front really is, we've all seen the horror stories. If you let Gen AI loose in your business, could have pretty profound consequences. So what's your advice on how you ensure that you're minimizing that risk?
Well, okay, so for us, again, thinking about our own experiences and our journey today, that due diligence piece that I've mentioned, the governance, if you will, we have a process in place where we are recording all of the AI tools that are requested by our employees. We analyze benefits, we analyze risks clearly, and the costs, and the cost benefit kind of piece comes into play there. So that's kind of our own internal process that we've rolled out. We also have, information, documentation, governance, licensing as well from an image point of view, which is really important, that we share with clients. Zoe on a daily basis speaks to clients about our creative output and work. They're challenging us, as many agencies will be challenged at the moment in regards to how they're using AI. So I think, it's been really some important conversations, hasn't it, over recent months around all of that.
Yeah, and I think it's Chris mentioned it earlier, but it's really important that we are really transparent on that journey. So we actually shared like terms and conditions. We shared insight around how we plan to use AI with our clients to make sure that, from a governance perspective, they're totally kind of happy and it's all sound from their side, and we're reassuring them that we've done our due diligence and we've looked at the kind of risks and we've picked the right platforms based on, meeting client objectives and all of that kind of side of things. So I think, bringing clients and onto that journey is so important, just for that reassurance piece, because there is a lot of uncertainty and it can be scary.
Absolutely. And one of the recommendations you mentioned about some scare stories, or the pace of change, really, Doug, is something that is even for kind of a seasoned marketeer like the three of us, I guess. I don't think we've ever experienced anything quite as quick and as fast moving as kind of GenAI. We're talking at the moment around sort of strategic plans being reviewed from a technology viewpoint every 4 months or so. Now, that's never happened as far as I can remember, where plans are written, and almost as soon as plans are written, they're kind of adapting to change. And we've been through a cycle so far in terms of risks around the ethical point as well. If you remember, the whole sort of deep fake conversation, what's real and what's not real, the whole Sora from OpenAI in regards to kind of that video component is the new thing that's created so much noise and conversation, really, in terms of the communication social channels. So the ethical point is really critical, making sure, Zoe quite rightly says, in terms of transparency with customers and with clients is really important. And again, not sound like a broken record, but going back to the due diligence point, looking at how solutions that you're adopting, such as Synthesia or HeyGen from a video perspective, how are they acting on my behalf, essentially, to provide an ethical approach to video and content creation, and not just pretending, I guess, to be someone I am not. So again, do your homework, do your research, be transparent up front, and think about the risks in your journey, really.
Yeah, definitely. That's good advice. And, probably a lot of the people tuning in, there will be channel marketers, maybe at a vendor, maybe at a distributor, maybe at a partner, an IT solution provider. So do you think they will become more or less important? Their roles will become more or less important as a result of Gen AI? Have you got good news on this front?
We have got good news. Yeah, in actual fact, I think the message comes around AI being your ally. So, the role of marketers will always be fundamentally important, but it's around how you kind of partner with AI to deliver that kind of value, innovation, effectiveness across your efforts. So, if we think about the channel, there is so many challenges that the marketing teams are facing at the moment. So a lot of pressure on delivering ROI. We've got the quarterly funding cycles, so you need to kind of meet those demands. We're constantly looking for new and innovative ways to cut through. So all of those things really kind of lend themselves well to the role of AI in supporting the marketing functions. So even if you just look at campaign planning as an example, if you use AI effectively to, get more insight around kind of performance predictions, understanding how likely your audience is to engage with your campaign based on predictions around emotional responses, interrogating customer kind of buying signals with campaigns, personalizing content. There's all of those kind of examples that are just, a few use cases that will really help to drive that better kind of impact and ROI that the channel marketing teams are under increasing pressure to deliver. So I think, safe to say it's definitely good news for marketers, but it's all just around, how as an individual you embrace that in your role, and kind of bring the right skills and evolve your kind of thought processes to make that a success, really.
I think what I would add to that as well is if you take the role of a marketeer as a value-added service, really, more so than ever before, with so much content that is being generated, be it creatively or from a copy perspective, there's so much more that is out there at the moment. To cut through, you have to add that human element to it. We've all tried to varying degrees with AI tools to generate thought leadership content or an opinion piece, on a particular subject. But if you're going to release that content verbatim without any human value, without any kind of steer and real credibility, I guess, from a publication point of view, that's not adding any value. That's not adding any purpose. That is just noise. So the role of a marketeer, really more so than ever before, is to cut through creatively, cut through from a value perspective, and really making sure that, for VARs, for distributors, for marketeers generally, that is where, more so than ever, as I say, that's where they can add value. I believe we've also got the prospect of Google, for example, with their SGE kind of developments around search, penalising content, or at least not ranking it as highly if it deems it to be AI generated, and that's fact. There's also conversation from an EU compliance perspective at the moment around, okay, with so much imagery out there, video, and image, assets that are put to market, how do we collectively as humans, really, and engaging in emotional reaction from a marketing perspective, how do we gauge what's real and what isn't real? Should there be, disclaimers essentially stating around images that image has been created with AI, or at least has been led by AI? And again, from a marketing perspective, we have to be mindful of all of this pace of change, really, in the activity we're putting to market, and not be detrimental to future performance. We're talking around sort of the value the marketeers add. Well, let's make sure that we're not affecting our future growth and performance opportunities by not following good practice today.
Yeah, that's good advice. And just to round it all off, so beyond GenAI and other stuff as well, what does a cutting edge digital marketing strategy look like in 2024?
So, I mean, succinctly, I think, going back to that point around the pace of change, I think you should expect a digital marketing strategy should be all about performance, all about pace of change, embracing technology throughout. Even if you went through quarterly or 4-monthly cycles of reviewing, your kind of mini, almost nano plans, really, from a marketing strategy point of view, and making sure that you're in the right place to deliver performance and results and growth from a marketing perspective, and AI will help you in all of that. So I think, for me, it's a technology play with an AI angle that's fast paced, fast moving. It isn't about yearly plans, putting them in place, putting them in the top drawer, so to speak, and forgetting about them. This has to be a continual evolution of what you're doing, not making sure you're just doing the easy thing, but you're doing the right thing, realistically, from a marketing viewpoint. So performance at its core, fast changing, and have a view to critically assess the technology you have in place. All right. And just because it's easy and it's deployed doesn't make it the best thing. There are so many solutions out there that, with a bit of due diligence and analysis, really, I think in 2024, more so than ever before, your digital marketing strategy will deliver performance and growth across your activities.
No, sure. And anything to add there, Zoe?
No, I think I guess the only other thing from my side is as a result of all of that, it's keeping the client experience front and center. So through meticulous planning of your digital strategy and kind of revisiting that, paying attention to your data, that's going to mean that obviously some of those things that I touched upon earlier around personalization and really cutting through are going to be possible. So it's really exciting for marketers in the channel, and we're looking forward to kind of continuing to work with our clients and advise around those strategies throughout the year. So
No, what a great note to end it on. Some great advice, and you actually heard it from the experts here that use GenAI as your ally. If you do, you're likely to stay ahead of the game, but also be careful. So thank you for all those top tips. I really appreciate it, and for joining me today.
Pleasure, Doug. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Doug.